Yo, what is up, guys? We are back for round 2 of the Lost Lands Music Festival live podcast series. I just released the first episode with Liz a few days ago. I hope you guys are digging that. It was wonderful to sit down with her and talk. Today we have the one and only West Coast rising bass producer that goes by the name of Lev3l. He is part of the DPMO family, which is Funkcase's label and collective, and just this huge family he's built from the ground up. I've had Versa on, I've had Sweet Tooth on, so I had to have Lev3l on when I got the chance to. We talk about his new EP, we talk about the future, some different musical inspirations during COVID. He just put out an EP not too long ago that's like being in the upside down world. We talk about some Stranger Things references. It was a wonderful conversation. Make sure to check out his new EP as well as his other released music. I know he has a lot coming up, so make sure you stay on track with him to see what's in store next. Do not forget, you can access exclusive bonus content and ad-free podcast episodes only on my Patreon at www.patreon.com/thisisLizzyJane. Hit the link below. Go check that shit out. Send me a DM. Share this podcast episode and tag me. I will repost you on all of my accounts. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. And without further ado, get ready for episode number 2 of the XO podcast live from Lost Lands Music Festival. This is LizzyJane, and you're tuning in to the XO podcast. Hi, Victor. How are you?
Going?
Good.
Thank you for having me.
Good.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We were just talking about last night.
Yeah, that was wild.
Pre-party.
Pre-party.
Fucking insane.
All the
We're
homies.
back.
We're
All
back.
the homies. It was crazy because Transpo, for everybody listening, we're live from the Artist Hotel at Lost Lands. We both have sets this weekend, which is super exciting. Victor, you also go by the name of Lev3l.
Of course.
Part of Funkcase fam.
Yep, DPMO.
Yes, yes, I love it, gang. But last night, it was like when the Transpo got us there, finally. I don't know if it took you forever to get there.
It did.
I was like, I don't know if they know where we're going. We're just kind of going in circles.
Well, 2019, I don't remember it, like feeling that it took that long to get there. And so last night was like, holy shit, is it just that I'm anxious and like I'm ready to get there? Or like, you know, I was trying to figure it out. I was like, dude, this feels like forever, bro.
We were in the van. It was like Ray Volpe, his girl, Rated R. Like it was like slam.
Yeah.
And he's just like, let's listen to some disco. Let's listen to some tech house. And then eventually he was asked the driver, and he just goes, dude, do you know where we're going? Can we just all walk through the front gates together? But I know that they had like huge issues because of the rain.
Right,
I mean, this isn't the first festival that we've seen.
Yeah.
It was like Bonnaroo, and then it was Imagine. And then yesterday when I saw them post the thing about the camping, I was like, oh no, this shit ain't happening. No. But it happened. So we like made it to the other side. Everything dried up, and today's day 1. I feel like we already had day 1.
This is actually day 1.
This is day 1.
This is day 1. I forgot yesterday was day 0.
I was drinking literally day like 0. We started from like the negative 100 level. I was drinking White Claw, and I had this like thought to myself, I'm like, this isn't even day 1.
Yeah,
you need to go home.
Yeah.
you need to go home.
You need to chill out.
But it was so dope. And Mary from Excision's team,
right.
I felt like we were in homeroom because we all were eating, and she's like, if you plan on playing, you need to stand up and introduce yourself. Sullivan King's Keaton is just like in the back. He's like, everybody stand up. We're going to make a list. And then when he went on stage, he like said everybody's name, and it was super cool.
That's awesome.
But it was like all the homies, and everybody was playing out their own shit. You played out a VIP last night, right?
I did. It was the Nosphere VIP of Snare Science, which is kind of a banger tune.
Oh, no, it's definitely a banger tune, because I thought in the back of my mind that it was the VIP to Impending Doom, and then I was like, no,
I played it right afterwards.
You played it right afterwards, and I was like, oh shit, that's the one with Devin. Because that's how I was kind of exposed to you, is through Funkcase's label and through Impending Doom.
Yeah,
and it was super cool because now I've gotten to speak to Versa and Sweet Tooth, and now
Right.
you.
And now me.
And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we're like covering all of the bases.
Isn't that
and
awesome?
it's super cool, and it's awesome that you kind of have this space to transparently talk to one another.
Exactly.
So where are you from originally?
I'm from Orange County, Santa Ana.
Okay.
California.
Yeah.
But I want to touch back on Impending Doom because that like literally opened every door for me.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
So Impending Doom was a track that Devin and I wrote in 2017, and there is literally 37 versions of it. And before it got signed was the 38th version, and that wasn't even the final. We sent that to Funkcase, and he was like, "Yeah, this is amazing. I do like the switch." But I feel like that should be the first drop. So we're like, all right, well, let's do the sustain note as the first drop. Sure enough, we flipped it over, and he's like, this is it. I'm signing it. I was like, yo, holy crap. Funkcase just said he's going to sign our tune. A week later, played it at Lost Lands. And so we were like, oh, my God, this is fucking insane.
2019, 2018?
This was 2017.
That was the first year, right?
That was the first year. Yeah.
Gosh.
So, wait, 2018.
2018.
I lied. 2018.
Okay,
So we made it in 2017. He signed it in 2018, played it out for the first time in 2018. Lost Lands.
Yeah.
And that's when we knew, we were like, dude, this is it. This is
it.
our tune. This is our breakout tune to be able to like tell people like, hey, this is us. This is what we do. Do you guys fuck with us or not?
And I think it's so cool because you rarely get, I mean, everybody's like journey in this industry is very different, but you rarely break through on one tune.
Yeah.
Like
right?
there's very few people.
Yeah.
My good buddies Plasma and Vulcan just released the Pling Plong tune or whatever that everybody's been playing out. And I haven't seen a track like that in like the bass sphere in a while since Impending Doom. So it really puts you on the map, not only with producers, but it's like you could cut the noise and everybody knows.
And they know, your world will be mine. I love that.
Absolutely. And it has to feel really exhilarating to have someone like James, like Funkcase, kind of believe in you from that. Literally, Dad. When I talked to Devin, he told me the same story. He's like, this was the 1000th version, and then we turned it in, and I just wanted like his feedback. And then he told me to put this here, and he would fucking sign it because he said that Funkcase had been holding on to this label idea via Circus Records for a while, and he didn't know the right time to put it out. And then he heard your tune, and he's like, "That's it. We got to get the compilation."
And like no one really knew. Well, we knew DPMO was a thing, right? But we didn't expect for it to become its own like, self-standing label.
It's a huge label. It's one of like I feel like I can like count on 5 fingers how many bass labels there are that are like predominant bass labels. You have Black DPMO, Label,
Subsidia,
DPMO. Yep, exactly. And like that's it. So for it to become that big, and he really focuses on this niche where like you guys do the heavy. Like when you all get up there, I'm like, okay, I ain't back to back in. This is like some crazy shit. I'm gonna just let them do their thing because it's just this, but like people love it. Like if they're really into it, and I always compare it to like metal and like the back ends. Do you have influences there that you've kind of drawn from?
Totally. So like growing up, I always kind of experimented with music because I really it was hard for me to kind of figure myself out as far as like what I felt was my style of music. And I came to a realization that you don't have to kind of pigeonhole yourself and be like, oh dude, I just listen to metal or I just listen to hip hop. It's okay to be like to have a wide, like broad taste in music. It's cool. Like if anything, I encourage that.
Yeah.
So coming like growing up as a skateboarder, I was influenced with like metal and shit like that. Big fan of Job for a Cowboy, Waking the Cadaver.
Yes, Job for a Cowboy, dude.
I mean? Oh yeah. So I actually like went to Chain Reaction to see Waking the Cadaver, not Waking the Cadaver, sorry, Job for a Cowboy. Busted my whole lip, and I was like, this is a little crazy. Yeah. But that was the first time that I was introduced to like a real mosh pit. So with that kind of atmosphere, you kind of get the same thing with dubstep, and you're like, yo, this is the same thing, It's literally the same vibe.
The song structures are literally, if I were to take a metal song and line it up with a dubstep song, it would be pretty similar because you think of like, it has more of, I guess, like a lyric influence sometimes where you still have the verse, the pre-chorus, the chorus, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. But, when the breakdown comes, that's the drop. Right. And I just, I was a metalhead for so long. I really only got into electronic music like 19 years old, late 18. And I would see
the mosh pits at EDM shows, and I was like, you guys don't know how to mosh. Because like, the metal mosh pits are like, you know, to put your arm out, you know, to like all of the back end of it. But it's developed into this culture where anytime I talk to somebody who is like a fan of DPMO and a fan of like just like the heavier shit, like they love metal. So it's really transformed into this genre. And unfortunately now, I feel like when we were growing up, metal was a lot bigger. You think of like Vans Warped Tour. You think of all of these festivals that don't really exist anymore. And it's really sad because it's like, I love that shit. Like the circle pit and the two-stepping and like stuff that you don't necessarily see translate into electronic dance music.
It's getting adopted slowly.
But it's getting adopted slowly. And now it's like last night, I don't know who it was. I think it was maybe like Akios or something. He's like, I need to see some fucking pits. And you just saw him open up everywhere.
I thought it was rated R. But
maybe it was rated R. Yeah, I think some people said it a lot over and over again. At one point, I felt like it just kept getting like, you would see like Uber and like all of them come up and you just knew what was going to happen.
I did see it open up though, and I was like, holy crap, this is insane.
It's going to be insane. Like, I feel like there's going to be like Walls of Death this weekend.
Oh, yeah,
like, that's fucking crazy shit. I'm trying to get...
from Rada. He's gonna
oh my God. I feel like I've been like so busy as you have too, like prepping your set. Because it's like, I've made the transition recently where like I was a resident going from like a resident to just playing shows, you know, being booked as like a legitimate artist instead of like a local playing support. And so now it's like when I get these opportunities, instead of like testing IDs every week that's maybe not necessarily playable, I'm like, fuck, I gotta get every little thing in there. We gotta get every edit in there. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Do you have like some new IDs that you're really excited to play out?
Yeah, so I tested it last night and it did really well. So I have a VIP of a song that I released on Subsidia called The Fifth Purge.
Okay.
And I made it specifically for Lost Lines.
Ooh, okay.
And I had thought about it for weeks and weeks, and like for some reason I just wasn't able to like really focus and sit down and grind it out. But I literally grinded it out in about 4 hours. And when I finally was able to sit down and focus, and I was like, all right, well, I have an idea. Let's roll with it. Let's see how it goes. Pumped it out in 4 hours. I was like, yo, holy crap, why can't I have that kind of motivation all the time?
All the time. And I speak to people too. I was just talking to Must Die. He's coming on the podcast tomorrow. And he was like, I wrote my album in 3 weeks.
Which is insane.
Which is insane. Like if you listen to that album, it seems like this like well-crafted piece of art.
Right.
And I'm someone, especially because I come from another genre, that I'm like always paying attention to little details. I suck at finishing things sometimes. I don't know if you've ever gone through that phase.
I feel like that's all of us.
Well, that makes me feel like a little bit better because like I feel like the last like 15 to 20% of a song is the hardest.
Yeah.
Because you can really get it there. But everyone who I talk to, like Peekaboo, Must Die, like people who have like bangers, like incredibly successful artists, they just pump it out.
And
like,
it's wild, right?
Like Babatunde, however the fuck you say that name.
I'm sure they're sitting
like,
on countless like projects that they don't want to finish.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
No, for sure. But it's like sometimes you just get that ball rolling, and I think that's where, because like creativity and inspiration come from like all of these different things, and you can't necessarily like pinpoint or have like a theory or method on how to get yourself in that mindset. So when you're there, it's so important that you take advantage of that time to pump it out. Because it's like if you were to walk away, video games, appointment, whatever, you may not have finished that tune. And you lose it. So what is your like, I guess, approach to when you like start songs? Are you kind of all over the place, or do you usually start with sound design? Do you usually start with arrangement?
It's kind of weird because I don't have like I don't really have a method for it. I usually just kind of go with the flow, you know? So there's times where I'll start a melody and I'll create an amazing intro, and for the life of me could not figure out a drop. Yeah. You know, and I'm just like, all right, well, I have this dope intro and I have fucking nothing to do with it. Yeah. So eventually, when I get to the point where I get frustrated and can't figure anything out, I'll use that intro and send it out to homies. Be like, yo, I made this intro. I can't figure out a drop. Can you do something with it? You know, let's collab on this and figure something out. I need your help. You know, can you help me out? That kind of thing. Yes. So and sometimes I'll write a drop and can't figure out an intro. You know, so there's like, it's kind of weird. I kind of take it with, it's kind of case by case. Yeah. Definitely case by case. And there is times where, again, I wish that you could like flip it on like a light switch and be like, I got this from start to finish. Let's go intro into the drop and finish the whole tune in a day. And when it does happen, it's like you feel amazing, you know? And then a week later, when you're trying to write again, you're like, why the hell can I do this?
You feel like you're ready to smash your head into the wall.
Yeah, you're like, dude, what the hell?
It's like sometimes I'll be with students and like we'll be reviewing projects, doing whatever, and I'll come up with ideas and I'll be like, oh, this will be really sick. I'm like, why the fuck can I do this when I'm sitting in front of my computer in my studio?
Right.
And it takes so long to get yourself even to a point where you feel like you can express and create what you hear in your mind in the DAW.
Right.
And do you work in FL, Ableton?
I work in Logic. So I feel
in Logic. Okay,
Logic
cool.
Pro X. So I feel like I'm probably maybe Algo too. Me and Algo are probably some of the few.
I know Duke and Jones work in Logic.
Oh, really?
And then I just did a collab with Adam Jason. He's a Subsidia artist too.
Okay.
He's more like melodic. And I was like, what are you in? He's like, I'm in Logic. I was like, oh, fuck. Like,
yeah.
I haven't seen Logic in a fucking
You're going to have to link me up with him.
Right? Oh, no, I definitely will because I feel like that's a whole different workflow.
Yeah, for
in
sure.
Logic.
For sure.
And it's kind of like all the DAWs do the same thing, but they're all little different languages. Like you all just have to figure out like the nooks and crannies of each one. So is it difficult when because like you collab with people a lot, like just what you said, because I think collabing is like so awesome. And it is honestly, I like attest collaboration to some of like the best methods and techniques that I've learned and developed because I see other people's takes on things. And I think also like coming from like, were you ever in a band?
I was.
Yeah. So what did you play?
Okay, so I was in 3 bands actually.
Okay.
So growing up, my dad's a musician. I come from a long line of a family of musicians.
Yeah.
You know? He has this Mexican kind of like we call it tropical. So he plays norteño, cumbias, basically anything you can think of that's Mexican music. So I was in his band for about 8 years growing up. And so that's where I learned, my way around the keys and stuff like that. Put me on as a drummer for a little bit. And then after that, I've been in band my whole life. So in school, did like 4 years of drumline, 6 years of just being in band and stuff like that. And then worked my way into trying to be in a metal band. That didn't really work out. We did it for about a month, and I realized that I couldn't really rely on my bandmates to like want to practice.
Dude.
So that's when I discovered a DAW. You know, I was like, okay, well, I don't have to. I don't need a band. I could be the band myself. I could be the drummer. I could be the fucking keyboardist. I could be the whole ass band in a DAW. So that's what really like sparked my interest to figure it out because I was like, okay. I don't have to rely on bandmates to want to practice. I don't have to rely on someone to be like, hey, did you bring your equipment? Is your fucking guitar tuned? Like that kind of thing. You have it all right there. You can literally be the band.
You can literally be the band. And that was my literally sole reason. I've talked to so many other producers who were in that same exact position. Because I was in a band for a long time and then it would like take time to go to college. And I had to take a step back and say, okay, so can you depend on these people? Do they want it as much as you? Like, everyone has to be on the same page. And obviously, when you get to the level of an artist like you and I are, you need a team. Like, the team is very important to have a good, supportive team. But at the same time, the majority of the weight still does fall on you. And, like, you are going to dictate whether you succeed or fail. And that's what I thought was super awesome with moving from more of a band structure to individual structure because it's like you can work as hard as you want if you want it and like if it doesn't happen like the majority of the time it's going to be like on your shoulders if it doesn't happen but it's all like God, you get told no by labels so many fucking times like that's all part of the journey.
Like we're used to being told no.
Exactly. But you go from like okay, I've got my drums and maybe my keyboard is mapped to MIDI and a synth or whatever. But then you've got drums, guitars, bass, vocals. There's not much more if you're in a band. But then when you go to a DAW, you're like, oh my God, there's like an infinite. I just like think of an infinity sign because it's endless. And every time I work with somebody, I see another way to approach something. And that's like the cool part where I feel like you can never stop learning. And like I still take lessons from people. Like I still like watch fucking YouTube videos and watch this because it's like you always will have somebody who's going to be better at you than anything, obviously. And there's always new techniques. And now there's this whole wave of younger artists that are totally bringing this fresh new twist to bass music. I know, and that's kind of fucking really scary.
I think it's awesome.
But it's awesome. But it's awesome from that same point too, because it really teaches you to like these kids weren't being told, oh, you need to fucking gain stage and you need to make sure you're looking at the spectrum analyzer to see where all your frequencies are.
No, they're
just making music.
They're sending it.
Yeah, they're just literally sending it, and it like shows you that at the end of the day, if it sounds good, it sounds good.
Exactly. There's no right way to make music, and there's no wrong way either. And I think that's really cool to see. Like, we're being influenced by a younger generation that doesn't have any boundaries. You know what I mean? And so, back in the day, you'd be like, "Oh, you're clipping. You can't do that. You know, you have to put a limiter on that. It's clipping way too much." And it's like, well, we can clip if it sounds cool. It's all right. You know?
And we're like fucking dubstep.
Yeah,
like,
so it's all right. Distortion's all right. It's cool.
I was talking to somebody yesterday who said they were like playing support at Eco Stage in DC for like a show or whatever, like a Keizo show, and the sound guy came up and was like, your waveform's way too big. It shouldn't be that big.
Word.
And he's like, I play dubstep. I don't know what to tell you because everything that we do is very backwards of the general audio engineers. Like did you like ever go to school for music or did you ever take classes?
No,
okay.
It was all self-taught.
So like all self-taught. No, that's fucking awesome because I went for audio engineering, but it was more for like Foley sound. It was never for like what I do now.
Right.
But you're taught the basics and the principles of mixing, of mastering, of sound design. It's just fucked when you come to our genre. But that's what's so cool though, is because you can get so many cool things out of it. And even now you see like video games and movies that have more electronic based scoring. Like Junkie XL, like a lot of the Marvel movies, like which is super sick.
I'm waiting to just get in there a little bit. Like, hey, can I send you guys too? It's like, where do I submit?
No, literally, I just applied for actually a job with Blizzard, which is a video game company, like super big video game company, because that is exactly what I want to do. And like I just released a remix today on Bygore, and like I used a lot of like Omnisphere like end contact like synths where like violins and brass and trumpets and stuff, and it's like that all feeds in like from like my want to like score for video games and movies.
Dude,
because that's a whole nother like we have such a skill set that I feel like we love this industry so much and we love this like niche thing, but you can apply that to so many things out of EDM and out of dubstep.
I think like Noisy has scored
they've done a lot of work.
They've done a lot. Yeah. I know they scored a video game.
Yeah.
And I remember it being like super fire. But again, with like music, you can't just like there's so many opportunities with what you can do with it. You know? Like commercials, TikTok, and by the way, with TikTok
is fucking.
It's like, dude, I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on it. I feel a lot of people are sleeping on TikTok. But
do you use TikTok?
I do, and I've discovered a lot of music through TikTok. You know, especially with like some of their advertisements, where I'm like, bro, I don't want to get ads when I'm watching TikToks, but low key, it sounds kind of fire. So I'll look into it.
You see the Spotify algorithms literally like in the plays being reflected off of TikTok. Like I've seen artists blow up off of TikTok.
Totally.
And I just feel like I have like a love-hate relationship where I'll like have a really good run and then I'm like, I can't fucking do this shit, god damn it. Because I feel like a lot of artists, like I love talking and speaking with other artists, but the other end of it is a lot of us are introverts to a certain extent.
True.
So like when I'm in my mode of creativity, I don't want to think about making a fucking TikTok. And like so but it's all like part of the job. You know, social media is part of the job.
Exactly.
I think it was Yeti do you know who Yeti is? Like the really underground producer.
Yeah.
He like posted on Facebook the other day, and it was just an open-ended discussion. And I love when artists are willing to speak, because a lot of artists are afraid to speak like what's on their mind, especially on social media.
For sure.
Because that can go very back and forth.
Totally.
But he was just elaborating on the point of, you know, we live in this age where, you know, are the people who make good, funny tweets going to be valued more as a musician influencer and get more better bookings than people who are, like, focusing on their artistry and craft? Right. And I think it's like you have to meet somewhere in the middle.
In the middle, for sure.
You have to. You can't ignore one end of it, because if you don't have any music, you're going to be like, what the fuck are you doing?
Exactly.
And then the other end of it is yeah, like you're gonna be hindered if you don't have a social media presence. And
Yeah,
like
yeah.
people want to throw Tipper in there and they want to throw those older guys in there, but they've been doing this since 1990. Like
It's a little
we live
different. It's a
in
little different.
such a different time
Right.
that, you know, you have to be present and you have to be engaging
You have to be
because
loud. You have to
you have to be
like,
loud. I know.
yeah,
And
man.
sometimes I'm just like, man, I just want to like post music content. I just want to
Trust
post
me, I get
podcasts.
it. I get
But then
it.
you gotta do the shit post. You gotta do whatever,
Exactly.
whatever's
It
like.
turns into a chore, but there's
It
days
definitely
where
does.
you're like,
But
oh, I gotta tweet.
People love like the relatability,
Mhm.
and I think the thing that's cool with our industry is, you know, if somebody tweets at you, you can go all the way up the line, like you're gonna see it, you know,
Right.
like where with like really big artists like Kanye West or Lady Gaga, you know, they're at this level where they're really not reachable at a relatable
Yeah,
level.
yeah,
They
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
exist up here, but we're at this point where
Literally stars.
people can literally. We're at this point where, you know, people can see you in the crowd, they can high five you, you can have a conversation
Right.
where you build that relatability, so they want to see that translated into the social media presence.
Yeah, totally. And you kind of have to make a good transition of making sure that your personality in person is also the same as your online presence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
Oh, yeah.
you can be hella loud online, and then when someone sees you in person, you're like, oh shit, I don't even want to talk to
I
someone.
I think I had an afterthought on the podcast, just like remotely over Zoom. And he just said like a simple fact of, you know, sometimes I wish I didn't meet people I knew online in real life because a lot of people put up this like facade.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
like when you meet them in person, you're just,
That's
who
not
are
you,
you?
bro. Yeah.
Wait,
Like,
who
that's
are
not
you?
you.
And it's hard though because people want you to be loud. So
Yeah,
like you
yeah.
have to find that balance of representing yourself and like
Exactly.
staying true to yourself as an
Exactly.
artist, and also, you know, being who you are on both sides.
Right.
And I don't know, it's just like a mind fuck. The journey's so crazy.
It
and
is, it
so
is.
how long have you been kind of like being a producer? Like have you been producing just forever?
It's been like a solid 12 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I started off making house music. You know.
Oh fuck yeah, okay.
It's the easiest kind of 4x4
Yes.
thing to do, you know.
Floor on floor.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, easy to fucking get that way.
Right. So just kind of growing up with my cousin being a DJ as well, and kind of showing me the ropes and all that. He's a house music producer and a house DJ.
Oh, nice.
Shout out DJ Lights Off. So he basically showed me everything. He's the one that introduced me to Logic, and that's why I've never been able to break out of it. It's because
Yeah.
you know it's a DAW that I've worked with my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
But kind of just growing up with the Skrillex era, you know, that kind of influenced a lot of people, and that influenced me.
Yeah.
And had to kind of, you know, switch gears and give dubstep a chance.
Yes.
And it's been like 8 years that I've been producing dubstep. And,
Fuck yeah.
And it takes a long time.
What got you into Skrillex, and then like what like made you be like, this is what I want to make?
So I've always been really I'm a pianist, and I love playing the piano. You know, that's kind of my thing. It's my go-to if anything. So I was introduced to dubstep with a song by Bar 9 called Piano Tune.
Okay.
And that's
Bar 9's the fucking OG,
yeah,
dude.
OG,
Oh
super
my
OG.
goodness. I haven't heard that name in a while.
And the intro is beautiful. It's just like, you know, piano, melodic. It's kind of like a dark vibe, and it just hits you in the face with the drop. And I was like, dude, what in the fuck is this? And so my friend's like, yeah, this is dubstep. You know, this is what I've been listening to. So, you know, introduced me to Bar 9, Rusko, the whole OG team there. And then got introduced to like the, what do you call it, Terra, I guess? Grillz would be considered Terra.
I feel like he had those moments, but he's just
Brostep,
like bros,
Terra,
yeah, like
you know
bros,
what I mean?
yeah, for
so
sure.
got introduced to that kind of thing, and I was like, all right, well, coming from like a metal background or just in like rock in
So
general,
relatable.
you know what I mean? It's kind of, you can kind of blend all that. So it's cool to be classical. You can have that really in your face kind of metal vibe, and you can put it all together into what we call dubstep.
Exactly. It's like a mind fuck.
Yeah,
almost.
yeah.
But it's so cool because like you really can throw anything in there. And what I like too is that I'm starting to see people push more boundaries. People always have,
right.
but I think COVID has brought a lot of people to the forefront that may
For
not
sure.
have gotten their time of day, like PopCon, like those people
Yeah,
that like
yeah.
really just fucking blew up from a Twitter post,
Which is
Like,
insane.
which is insane. Which is
Because I know
why
the tweet you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's-
Oh yeah.
We all know that tweet, right?
Yeah. And then it's like it's really cool, and the internet is beautiful in that way. Like it sucks in a lot of ways. Don't get me wrong, but the internet is cool because you can just connect with people from all over. And now we're in this age where I feel like we've kind of had this like reset in this industry where you see like really big producers like posting clips, posting side projects, posting just like, hey, I'm just like making music to make music.
Totally.
And it's really awesome to see those people at like the level that we aspire to be, like headlining stages. And they're still putting fucking flips on SoundCloud. And they're doing this. And that's where I feel like the future is hopefully going. And then again, you see people like More Kismet. Oh my God, you see people like Joby and like just mind-bending new shit.
And
there's
pushing boundaries.
There's so many good fucking producers from overseas. We were just talking about the visa issues yesterday. And like how Funkcase wasn't even able to make it to Forbidden with Dr. P.
That was sad.
But he's coming this weekend.
Yeah, he'll be here tomorrow.
Yeah, so he's going to come on the podcast Sunday. Because we were supposed to do it last time, but then obviously he couldn't make it. But yeah, that shit is just a bitch because like Odd Profit couldn't make it. And then I even think of people like Leatrix. Like there's just so many good people overseas.
There really is. And I do have to shout out Nosphere because like we made Stereo Science together. Never did I ever, dude.
Is he from overseas?
He's from Hungary.
Oh no.
Yeah, he's from Hungary. So like, dude, I never thought I'd fucking collab with someone from Hungary. You know what I mean? And he's such a monster. Like when we were talking about workflow, this dude pumps tunes out like insane. He's a monster. But it'd be awesome to get him out here, and we just can't. You know,
it's like
so
hard.
It sucks to kind of exclude some of the bigger. Some of my bigger influences that aren't really, you know, big artists, but just like people that I look up to as far as production goes.
We're blessed to be here in the United States doing this because in order for them to get over here, they either have to be picked up by a huge agency, like not a boutique, like a corporate agency, or they have to have such a fan base and proof of like income and proof of all of this other shit, proof of shows, proof of touring. And it's so hard to build that fan base if you don't have the opportunity to.
Exactly.
So what's beautiful is that they're known just for their music, which is sick, but it's also a hindrance. And I think of people like Eater, I think of people like Triple, I think of all of those guys, and you're just like, oh my God.
Why can't we get you guys in the States,
Paul.
please? Oh, yes,
like
Paul.
all these people that are like, they're now back doing shows in like Paris and Hungary and all those places, which is super cool. But, you know, you think of overseas and you really only just think of Rampage and maybe Tomorrowland or Tomorrowland.
Yeah, Rampage probably, and maybe Tomorrowland.
Yeah.
I think that's about it. There's only like
the Rampage is like a dream, don't get me wrong. Like that's something where I'm like, holy fucking
for
shit.
Sure.
I could play Rampage.
I'd love to play Rampage someday.
Well, you definitely will, being in like Funkcase's family. Because I remember Devin was telling me, you know, the year of COVID, I'm supposed to play Rampage.
Right.
And that's just a fucking bummer.
Right.
But, you know, I think it took everybody to a point of self-reflection. Where do I want to go? Because in this industry, you can just go from event to event to event to event. And totally. Lee and I, Mustar, were just talking over in the lobby, and you know, he has a family. He has a daughter. He has you know, wife, lives out in Seattle, and this is just not real life. It's not like it is. Don't get me wrong, but like it's not the reality that like we were raised in.
Oh, for sure.
So it's really easy to get lost in this.
You kind of broke out of the simulation.
Broke out of the simulation, and it's beautiful because it's so fucking cool. Like these are like, I am the happiest when I'm here.
Oh yeah, for sure.
By far. Sure. Like I love my home life, and I love like
I feel like I'm a different person in general.
I feel like I'm a different person. I'm literally sitting there off 2 White Claws, and I'm like, dude, I'm fucking high right now. Like this is fucking great. But that's just like what it does when you love it. Yeah. You know, exactly. And especially this is like Dubstep Super Bowl, so it's like you would not get this many artists in the same genre in the same place. No. Which is super fucking sick.
I mean, I think it's really cool. Like yesterday, that's probably what got me the most hyped is like seeing a lot of the people that I hadn't seen in a long time, and just seeing artists that I hadn't had the opportunity to officially meet because of COVID, you know? So it's like, dude, I finally get to meet you, bro. Like, yes, we're out here. We're doing this together.
I see people like from a distance, and I'm like, okay, like I know you, but I don't know you. Like, so I'm just gonna. It was a Jordan Jequi.
Okay.
I was like standing in the corner, and I was like, I know him, but I don't. But I've done a podcast with you, but I'm going to come and say hi. And I feel like there's so many of those moments because we've all talked online for so long. Right. And then everybody's here. And it feels almost surreal still, even though we've been out of COVID for a while. It's just like, whoa, like everyone's here.
It's like when internet friends become real friends.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And it's like everyone looks like ants. Like I didn't even go out into the crowd yesterday, but I saw videos from it. And it just looks so massive.
Tiny little people.
Like tiny little people.
I think it's cool though. I feel like that actually helps a lot with like playing bigger stages. Whenever you see, I hear a lot of people always say like, "Hey, do you get nervous when you go on stage?" And of course, we all get nervous when we go on stage.
Yeah.
But it kind of turns into white noise after a little bit.
God, I was like shaking yesterday.
Oh,
I
right.
plugged in my
Same.
USB because I
like,
hadn't played in a while, and I was like looking at the back end of it, and I was like, don't put your USB in wrong. Don't put your USB in wrong.
Right.
And then you go and you're like, fuck, like you're like, okay, don't press pause, don't do this, don't do that, because you're on main stage too.
Exactly.
And like this
you don't want to be the one to fuck
it's the only reason I came yesterday, because I was like, I want to fucking play at the back to back. I want to play at the pre-party. That's a fucking amazing opportunity for content, amazing opportunity to play your own music in front of all those people, and it's like super sick. And like, are you playing on Sound Camp, Subsidia stage?
I'm playing Subsidia stage 10 to 11 today.
Today?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I will definitely be there. And it's really cool because they've expanded the festival.
Right.
So now there's 2 extra stages. But, all the stages will be packed. But last night was like a unique opportunity.
Exactly.
To be
there is
there
no
with
stage
everybody.
Open. It's all
everybody was
there.
right there, and it's like you're there with everybody, and then at the same time too, everybody kind of chilled at the back end, and then like you had really up and comers up there, like YDG, Rated R, Sippy, me, like Liz.
Awesome.
We were all going back to back.
We all got our little piece
moment.
Of the cake.
I know, a little piece of the cake, which is really cool, and it's so awesome to see this festival really being like ran by family.
Right.
Like I feel like I've seen Excision's like Jeff's family members like walking around in X-shirts.
Yeah,
and they're all staying in the houses around the festival, and I just think that it's so fucking dope because you don't see stuff like that like at corporate festivals.
Really don't.
And like there's to each their own, but this is literally just like a grassroots thing that is really comparable to the attendance of any major festival.
True. It also kind of makes us feel like part of the family as well, you know what I mean?
Oh my God.
Like,
literally when we came in yesterday, I was like, my heart was so happy because Mary was just like, we're so happy to have you here.
Yes.
Like,
shout out Mary.
Shout out Mary. We literally love you. She's a queen. I met her yesterday finally, and I was like, we've like talked back so many times over email, and now we're fucking here, like face to the name. But
exactly.
she's so busy. They're all so busy. For them to take the time to like have the catering for us, have dinner.
Oh right.
Everybody was out there. There were thousands of people out there, and she's just like, enjoy your dinner, have your tilapia, and then everybody introduce yourself. And you guys are all gonna go play. And I was like, oh my God, this is. It was literally like a family thing. And then like the people who've been around for like years, like Sullivan King and Kaiwachi, they were all like, hey, like welcome. You guys are all welcome. And like you don't get that at other festivals at all. Like when you go to other festivals, I like don't even talk to people sometimes. I come in with the team, do my thing. You see the people like in your genre and you like hang out, but it's nothing like yesterday.
Yeah, or it's almost kind of rare to meet the person that actually booked you at like a major festival.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's like I'd like to thank everyone that that books me and try and meet them, but like with bigger festivals, you really can't.
It's not ideal. Sometimes they aren't even there.
Exactly.
So it's really fucking sick. So tell me about the future for you.
So I'm trying to. We were talking about exploring different genres and stuff like that. A couple of years ago, if anything, I want to say at least 5 or 6 years ago, it was kind of like a no to be like a multi-genre artist.
It was.
You know what I mean? It was like no, you have to just do dubstep. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like you have to do dubstep, and if you're dubstep, that's all you can do. Mm-hmm. You can't really branch out. So recently, at the past couple of shows I've been playing, I've been testing out a new like drum and bass ID. And I'm trying to mix in this like fast 4x4 150 kind of like
speed core
yeah,
that's fucking
and it goes
sick.
off every time I play it, so I'm just like, all right, well, people, it's okay to splash that kind of shit into your sets and kind of introduce them to the new style that you're trying to go for. And of course, it's going to be dubstep from here on out. Mm-hmm. But you can splash these new little ideas, and test them at shows. And if they go off, you kind of you can get a crowd reaction, or you can get a feel for the crowd reaction and know what people like. You know? So it's cool to kind of just explore. And so I'll be doing a lot more exploring in the future. I'm gonna. We recently put out an EP this past Wednesday.
Oh shit!
Where we explored with really slow like down tempo stuff. We sped down.
Are you gonna play all that stuff tonight?
I don't know about Play It Out, but I am playing the other 2 tunes that are on the EP. So there's
Sweet.
2 that are like, 150, regular dubstep kind of shit.
Yeah.
And then we slowed those down really, really, really slow, but they sound rad.
Is it like
slow.
super dark or is it like down tempo?
I couldn't even explain it.
I gotta take those. I'll link it below too,
Yeah,
so everybody
yeah.
can check them out. That's so exciting.
You're gonna have to go into it with an open mind though, because it's fucking weird.
No, but that's awesome. Like I do not like when I listen to new pieces of art from people and don't hear like anything different. I'm just like, okay, like I want to hear stuff that's like out there.
So the way that I think about this EP is like, imagine, do you watch Stranger Things?
I've watched Stranger Things.
Okay,
Yes.
so the 2 tunes that are at original speed are like what we're at right now.
Okay.
The tunes that are slowed down is like being in the upside down. So imagine listening to those
Oh,
tunes
that's
in the
sick.
upside down. You know what I
Okay.
mean? So you got to kind of.
That's like a concept almost,
yeah,
in itself. That's actually really
So
sick.
they're pretty fucking weird. Like,
I was talking to somebody the other day. I can't remember who it was, but they watch movies with the sound off when they produce.
why?
And for like inspiration.
Oh, word. Okay.
So they'll watch.
Try and score it. Kind of thing.
Yeah, like to try and score it or write like certain like pieces of like music.
Got
And
it,
I was
got
like,
it.
that's kind of a good idea.
That's not.
God, I'm an idiot. Like sometimes I'll have fucking Netflix on my phone next to my monitor, and I'll be like sound designing, and I'll be like, okay, like I guess we're here today.
Right.
But yeah, it's crazy where people draw inspiration from. But that's really sick to think of those 2 kind of analogies for the flip side.
So
Yeah.
You're in the upside down listening to some really
Weird shit. That's fucking dope. Well, I'll definitely make sure to link it below. Thank you so much for coming on today,
Thank you for
Victor.
having me.
Yeah,
Thank you for
absolutely. You're set tonight, Subsidia stage, 10 to 11.
10 to 11.
Fuck yeah. Let's fucking do it. I
Hell
really
yeah.
appreciate you.
Thank you. Let's get
XO
it.
Podcast live from Lost Lands,
Lost
Artist
Lands.
Hotel. There you go.
Thank you guys for yet again tuning into another episode of the XO Podcast. Next week, we have a huge week with special guests Must Die and Grabbits coming on to the podcast live from Lost Lands. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to my YouTube channel if you guys want this to continue and really like what I'm doing and hopefully are learning something, from our conversations. That is the only reason why I'm here and continue to have these conversations with these artists so that you can hear transparently what their journey has been like and what the other side of the industry is like to exist in on the, the other side of the rave. Have a great week. I will see you fuckers next week for another episode of the XO Podcast.